Konnichiwa, ohayou gozaimasu, o genki desu ka? Watashi no namae wa Richi-san, o namae wa nan desu ka? Nihongo wa hanimasu ka? So, good morning, grade 8s. Welcome to sequence 4 of the Feudal Japan unit. What I attempted to say to you just then in Japanese is hello, konnichiwa, good morning, ohayou gozaimasu, how are you, or genki desu ka? My name is Mr. Richie. Watashi no namae wa Richie-san. And then I asked you what your name is. O namae wa nan desu ka? Following that, I said, do you speak Japanese? Nihongo, which is the Japanese word for Japan. Nihongo wa hanimasu ka? Do you speak Japanese? So yeah, hope you've been enjoying the other sequences so far. I think this is a really cool unit and there's a lot that you can get out of it. For today's lesson, a big part of what you'll be looking at is what's called Bushido, which is a Japanese word which means the way of the warrior. So Bushi means warrior and Do means way of. So if you think of Kendo, Kendo literally means the way of the sword, you know, and Kendo is the one where they use the sticks now to fight. So Kendo, Ken, sword, Do, way of the sword. So with Bushido, it's really tied into the samurai and the samurai mindset. And what it means is the way they live their life, their morals, their values, the things they place great importance upon. And it's really good for you to go through and read what's there and understand the way of thinking. You have to understand with the Japanese people, I find it really interesting because about 30 years ago, my dad lived in Japan for 2 years. And they are an incredible people in many ways. Part of their values are hard work. You know, they work extremely hard at everything they apply themselves to. I've got some friends living in Japan now, and I remember one of the girls made a comment like, typical Japanese, they learn things very quickly and they're not satisfied just to be sort of at standard. They will learn something to the point of perfection and absolute mastery. They're very efficient people, they're very intelligent people, and they certainly value things like respect highly. So often when you meet someone, you bow. The more important someone else is, you bow lower to designate that respect that you have for them. I guess when you look at Bushido, there's an important thing to understand as well that is a little bit different between Western countries and a lot of Asian countries too, and that's that notion of shame and dishonor. So if you fail at something, if you disappoint if you disappoint others, if you feel like you let your family down, there can be a sense of shame and what we call loss of face associated with that. And so for the samurai, you know, if they were to be defeated in battle, they would often practice what was called seppuku, which is a ritual suicide. Because for them to lose in battle, you know, surrender wasn't an option. To be taken prisoner was dishonorable. To lose a battle was dishonorable. And sometimes the only way they felt they got their honor back was by committing seppuku and harakiri, which literally means belly cutting, where they take their sword and take their own life. So it's very deep, serious stuff. But I guess if you understand the values of the samurai here under the Bushido code, a lot of other things start to make sense. In grade 10, you should study World War II history or as part of history. And when you read about the Japanese during the Second World War, they treated prisoners appallingly. They did some horrible, horrible things. And a big part of it was their mindset that anyone who surrendered in battle, you know, was dishonored, were shamed. And so it doesn't excuse their behavior, but it shows you their mindset in thinking. If you hear the word kamikaze, you know, Japanese pilots got to a point where they just fly their planes into Allied ships, and bonsai charges where they'd charge at the enemy knowing they wouldn't come out of it alive. A lot of that thinking stems back to the Bushido code and the samurai and the way they thought about, you know, success and failure and how they related to that. I guess another interesting thing now is Japan sadly still has one of the highest suicide rates in the world. And again, a lot of that is often to do with men, and if they feel like they haven't, um, they haven't landed a good job or the right job or a high status job potentially, or they're without work completely. Sometimes they see seppuku as still a legitimate means to regain their honor by ending their life. So it's very serious thing, very sad thing in many ways, but part of the mindset. For this sequence, while you're working through, um, under the engage phase, there's an interactive read aloud for you to do. So we want you to just open up that link, read through it, read parts of 8.1 and 8.2 about Japanese society. There's a YouTube clip for you to watch on Bushido, only a minute and a half long. There's something that you can read about the 7 virtues of Bushido, which is really good as well. And then we ask you to create your own Bushido code, if you like, your own way of the warrior, your own sort of life values and priorities, which is pretty cool. There's a reading handout on the Code of the Samurai for you to read. There's a compare and contrast chart, sort of looking at a samurai warrior in feudal times and an Australian soldier and how they might be the same, how they might be different. And then just for the last thing, there's what we call some power writes. So just to test yourself, can you write for a whole minute as much as you can about Bushido? This is after you've gone through the whole lesson. Then can you count your words up, see how many you wrote, then do honor, then do loyalty. So a power write is you write as much as you can in a minute to see how much you can explain, how much you know, how much you understand. Count the words up, do the next word for a minute and see if you can write even more. By the third word, you probably will produce the most amount. Okay, that's it. You're doing an awesome job. I hope you're finding this unit really interesting. Yeah, time to go. Sayonara. Goodbye.